Guys, I'm pretty sure I figured out how to get views for StarCraft videos in 2021, okay? You ready? So, first off, well, obviously, first off, you gotta put, like, an arrow on the thumbnail, right? If there's an arrow on the thumbnail, that's significantly better than no arrow, right? But secondly, you just put ByuN in the video title. For some reason, whenever I mention ByuN in the title of the video, they go straight to, like, I don't know, 75,000 views very, very quickly. So as you may have already guessed, spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, Death Aura, and playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we are looking at none other than ByuN's main command center. Well, I say for some reason, but the reason is pretty obvious, right? This guy has been playing some phenomenal StarCraft 2, and he's one of the most fun players to watch. Now, apparently in this particular game, he has decided that it's time to open up with a couple of barracks on his opponent's side of the map. Speaking of which, playing in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones, we have, well, I guess technically speaking, the most recent world champion of StarCraft 2, because he won BlizzCon in 2019, and, well, technically there was no BlizzCon in 2020, right? So, it is what it is. We're looking at none other than Dark's main hatchery. Alrighty, so here we go. Now, Dark decided to go for a hatchery first, right over here on the low ground. This isn't necessarily that big of a gamble, actually. Like, if you assume your opponent is gonna go for some sort of cheese, you can try and hard counter it, but while ByuN likes to mix this into his games every once in a while, it's not really something he does all of the time, so it's not like you start hard countering it. He was very well known for his Reaper shenanigans, but in this particular case, you can see no gases inside of the main base, so it's just gonna be good old Reapers and probably a bunker or two close to his opponent's natural expansion. The Overlords are hunting. The Overlords are looking at the very least to figure out if there are barracks somewhere on the Zerg side of the map. It looks like, ooh, look at this actually. Oh, it looks like ByuN knows the scouting path right here of his opponent, because he's sneaking those units just barely through the fog of war. This is when an SCV first gets spotted. Oh, he sees the glimpse right there of the bunker starting up. What exactly is he going to do? Okay, so he's got to pull the drones out of the main base, and I think they're going to go fighting. Yeah, it's very popular right now to just use the drones to kill the bunker, or to just bypass the bunker altogether and to just start hunting all of those SCVs and all of those Marines as well. If you can shut it down early, it's pretty good. Now, obviously, ooh, good surround right here. You buy a lot of time as a Zerg player. That was beautiful. You buy a lot of Zerg, or a lot of time right here with those Marines not being in your natural expansion to get yourself a spine crawler up, and that's exactly what he is doing at this point. I mean, already though, I've got a feeling that this is pretty much defended. That micro right there by Dark was really smooth and really quick. Managed to shut down a lot of those Marines before they even really saw the creep. Nicely done. So that bunker will be salvaged. 25 minerals down the drain. Really not that big of a deal though for ByuN. But this was, yeah, about as clean as of a defense as you can get right now in this matchup. Like, that was absolutely beautiful. Really nicely done right there by Dark. So just to go back to that moment once again, the drones are pulled away from the main base mineral line. They find a couple of those Marines out on the map, right? He's trying to micro back the weakened workers as well, but he pins all of the units against the wall over here, and he gets the full wraparound. I mean, normally Zerg doesn't engage until you get into those speed-up circles, right? That's pretty good for defending this kind of shenanigans, but that was absolutely gorgeous right there by Dark, shutting it down easy peasy. And that brings us to the point where those Marines are gonna have to make the walk of shame all the way back home. There's no way that they're gonna be fighting a couple of queens right here that have saved up transfusion energy as well. Nice moves right there by Dark. Doesn't look significant, but he decided to skip the queen injects entirely just to see if his opponent would commit some more. He pulled the drones out of gas at 100 as well, just enough to start up metabolic boost right as this aggression ended as well. And now he can go ahead and put down a couple of those creep tumors if he wants to. Well, decides to put down one in the main base anyway. So what exactly is the follow-up going to be right now from the Terran player? Well, first off, he's got to bring those barracks back home. The barracks obviously not very helpful when they're flying around the map. Maybe he can get some revenge right here on this Overlord. I mean, I don't really know exactly what the Overlord did, but this bad boy will sadly have to pay for whatever it is with his life. What exactly is his follow-up going to be, though? So he still decided to go for the command center on the low ground. A little bit of a gamble right there for ByuN. He doesn't really know exactly at what point the Zergling speed will start it up, and it could have definitely finished already. If Dark would have continued making a lot of Zerglings here, he could have just, you know, killed all of those Marines pretty easily. And, I mean, then the command center on the low ground would never finish up, right? So a bit of a gamble. And actually, speaking of gambling, there's a third command center going up right now inside of the main base here of the Terran player as well. The reason why this is a gamble, because, well, first off, if the Zerg is not going for a very quick Zergling follow-up, right, which is pretty common, they could always go for a Roach Ravager follow-up. That's always scary. ByuN, though, manages to make it so that the third command center is going to finish up way before a Zerg third base. Doesn't look like it doesn't look like Dark is planning to go for any kind of aggression here anytime soon to me, but even though he hasn't got the third base up just yet, this is still a very good situation for him to be in. But ByuN, I mean, the gambling paid off this time around. He put all of his money on red, and even though he didn't get that many kills, I guess he got some red from his own Marines somewhere around this side of the map, right? But anyways, the bad boys will end up getting surrounded here, but they have already paid for their lives. As sad as that sounds, the Zerglings will be able to eat them up. But nice gambling right here by ByuN. It does pay off. Dark decided to not play too aggressively here as a follow-up. Now, Dark, of course, this guy is ridiculously good, right? I know I've been talking quite a bit about ByuN recently, but the guy is an absolute legend. I was actually going through my 2019 photographs the other day. I took this really nice picture of Dark right as he won the World Championships. Right? That's a pretty good one, right? And then I also took this really terrible selfie. Yeah, not too proud of that. But anyways, Dark is an absolute legend. Like, the guy did have he had a pretty rocky 2020 in general, to be completely honest with you. Like, after he won basically everything in 2019, right? And, well, I mean, he didn't win everything, but he won a whole lot in 2019. 2020, especially the first half of it, was pretty disappointing. And really not until November, December, this is when he really started looking on point once again. I mean, it was always good, obviously. He would win against you and me pretty easily, but he wasn't really... Yeah, he wasn't really doing as well, especially in, like, for example, the GSL Code S and those big high-level tournaments. Once again, though, he's looking on fire. He doesn't participate in as many online events as some of these other guys, so his form is a little bit harder to judge. This is a series of games, or this match is from a series of games that was played during the TSL 6, the Team Liquid Star League, and that was played in late December. He hasn't actually got any, like, on a Liga, like, there's no logged matches of him playing anything in 2021 just yet, so yeah, he doesn't really participate in that many games. Anyhow, let's see where this game is gonna go. So we have the hatchery now morphing into a lair, double upgrades here as a follow-up as well. Third hatchery, of course, did finish up. You see the double gas is now being built in the natural as well, so very standard follow-up here from Dark. He's got himself the fourth hatchery now coming up as well, and wouldn't be surprised to even see a fifth one coming up here pretty soon, or maybe a macro hatchery. Yep, there it is. The Koreans still seem to favor a macro hatchery more often than not in these kind of scenarios. Seems to be mostly a stylistic choice. If you're very confident that you can hold on to this fourth base, and I guess on this map that's pretty easy to do, right? This is a nicely tucked away position, but if you're not that confident, you can always go ahead and instead of build the macro hatchery inside of your main, you can just go ahead and plant that at like the fifth hatchery location instead. So you treat that as a macro hatchery, but if you end up losing that fourth base, you can transfer the drones then to the macro hatchery. Anyways, a little bit of strategy talk. Let's see what the follow-up right here from ByuN is going to be. So he's creating a wall over here, over at the third base location. I actually prefer the walls to be on top of the ramp. Not entirely sure why he's building it over here instead in like a choke point. I think denying the high ground vision is always a good idea. I made a high ground, comment and I didn't mention Star Wars. Nice, right? I'm learning, guys. I've been making the same jokes on my YouTube channel for like 5 years. Somehow you guys still watch. I'll probably still be making the same jokes in like 5 years from now. Anyhow, double matter of fact drop though absolutely gets shut down. But this is obviously where ByuN shines, right? So ByuN had a rocky start in this game, took a gamble. Looks like it's paid off because once again, he's got himself a nice little supply advantage. Of course, I say that and Dark catches up. But the point is that he's once again back into this pretty comfortably. He's very good at the multitasking. Very good at hitting with 2 to 3, maybe even 4 armies at once. Even though he can obviously only look at one location at once. You can see that he's always doing a pretty good job taking care of all of those Marines and doing a lot of aggression. In this particular game, it looks like Dark has decided not to go ahead and actually build a Spire. Instead, he's going into the Hydra Den right now and then double upgrades for those Zerglings first. This is a smart style if you want to go quickly into a Hive. So I think that's his plan right now. So just Lingbane into a couple of Hydras into a Hive. You can either go into Ultras or into Vipers or into Lurkers or whatever you like. I actually am a big fan of this strategy. But the problem is that if you play Lingbane based, right? And you don't go for Mutas, these drops can become an absolute nuisance. Because if the Terran player micros well, they should never end up losing any of those medevacts to just a couple of Hydralisks, right? It just, yeah, shouldn't really happen. It also takes a long time for those Hydra upgrades to be done. You can see they're even queued up right now for the Zerg player. So he's just waiting for both of those to be finished before he can really use these units efficiently. One nice thing, though, about the Hydras over, for example, Mutalisks is that they outrange Widow Mines. So that's good, right? That allows you to... ooh, nice control there. That allows you to get rid of those Widow Mines pretty easily. And they're obviously always... oh, nice control. Good manual targeting, actually, there as well by ByuN. Good defense here at home, too. Yeah, it allows you to get rid of your opponent's Widow Mines a little bit easier than with those Mutalisks. Oh, is that what he's doing? Is he creating like a double layer wall? I don't know if I like it. But it looks pretty. It's aesthetically pleasing. At the same time, those two Medevacs that were on the right-hand side of the map for quite some time, once again, are harassing the bases. But you can see that ByuN has lost... after that early game, even though supply-wise he's doing just fine, after the early game he's lost a little bit of tempo, right? Like, there's not really... it's not really a whole lot for him going on right now as far as, like, timing attacks go. And it's really Dark that gets to decide the pacing right now of the game. He's got a lot of upgrades. 2-2 is just about to finish up. This aggression is actually a little early. He decides to just go after pretty much all of those depots instead, which is pretty clever because right now ByuN is deep into the red right there when it comes to the supply count. It's going to take him a while to rebuild all of those supply depots. There you go. Why not just build them over there? Oh well, oh well. That depot got a little hat. Nice. Alright, yeah, so 2-2 is done for the Zerg player before 2-2 really even started, I think, for the Terran. And in Terran versus Zerg, the upgrades are absolutely massive. Marines and Zerglings, since they come out in really big numbers, right? And since they attack really quickly, the both of them, they benefit from those upgrades more so than pretty much any other unit out there. Actually, yeah, I would say Marines and Zerglings are the ones that benefit from upgrades the most, just because they come out in really big numbers. They're pretty cheap, and therefore the upgrades count more often, right, than on bigger units. So, in that fact, and in that sense right now, the Zerg player is looking really comfortable. And even though it's a little difficult to show you specifically... now, this is nice too, actually. He's just gonna kill the hatch. Yeah. Even though it's hard to show you that in a game, I suppose, what difference it makes, just take it from me, okay? There's a lot of additional damage that comes out of those upgrades. Now, the hatchery over there on the left-hand side got killed. Dark only just now is taking the top right-hand corner as well. These are very, very, very efficient trades here for the Terran. Look at that. I was talking about this base. You can see the Terran players now already heading over in that direction as well. Zerg doesn't have vision of this. But, is he going to have enough right now? Nope. He's going to force the council right there on that expansion as well. And this is all of a sudden now Dark, looking a little bit more dangerous. Or a little bit more vulnerable, I guess. He does have a couple of Vipers. Uses Parasitic Bomb right there on those Medivacs. They deal 120 life, or 120 hit points, worth of damage. Medivacs have 150 hit points, if I'm not mistaken. But if they're already a little bit bruised up, obviously, yeah, Parasitic Bomb, while expensive, can definitely finish them off. Here's the Ghost Academy coming up as well instead of the main base here of the Terran player. Let's see. It's actually insane how these pros can still make a game out of that early game shenanigans, right? Like, I mean, it's obvious that Dark could have easily capitalized on it. He could have gone for a Roach Ravager push and then this game would have lasted 4 minutes. But he didn't know that he could have done that, right? Like, we have perfect vision. And now all of a sudden we're 30 minutes into it and neither player is really winning. I like it. Still think, though, despite all the damage here that the Terran player is doing, well, this is starting to look more and more, you know, Terran favored. But I'm still liking the position for Dark quite a bit. He's got Hive Tech pretty easily. He's got a good set of upgrades here. And he can do whatever he likes. Okay, so I was just going to say, he doesn't need to start up whatever he likes. And it is going to be the Lurker then. Alright. Terran on this particular map as well has a hard time taking a 5th. So the first 4 bases are relatively easy to acquire, but the 5th base is all the way over here. And that kind of feels like it's far away. You can also take it up here, but that's not really a comfortable position either. There's a minefield over here. Creep spread probably not as far as it should be, to be completely honest with you, but... oh my god, those Widow Mines, man. They got a lot of value, but you can see it gets pushed back, right? It's also due to the fact that Dark has been doing a lot of run-bys here the entire time, or at the very least has been threatening a lot of those on the sensor tower. And because of that, ByuN decided to keep a lot of his units at home. If he can get a 5th base up, ByuN that is, I think I actually like this position for him better. The problem is getting the 5th base up. Sometimes it just goes up and then morphs it into a planetary and the Zerg doesn't even do anything. Got a feeling, though, that there should be at least a little bit of counter pressure. Now, I like this. Already 2 Medevacs once again in the top corner of the map. They're not going to be able to get much done. But what they are doing is that they're buying time for this command center to get, well, into position. Okay, sorry, I won't do that to you. Did he already get the ranged upgrade for the... Nope. So he's got the seismic spines upgrade for the lurkers also queued up. Usually you get that first. Interestingly enough, he's getting the burrow upgrade first. Terran right now, though, yeah, he's just gonna be... Like, this is what I mean. This is... I feel like if this would be Serral, for example, playing, or Raynor, they would be all over either that 5th base or, like, the 3rd or something, you know? Like, basically try and pull the Terran player... Well, this is kind of sloppy. Pull the Terran player into multiple different areas, but... This 5th base just gets acquired for free. This is really the life of the Terran player, and for some reason, this is not even being pushed into. I guess it's due to the... Ooh, Widowmine drop. Even though there's no speedy burrows. Alright, he's not going to be able to get that much done. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the speedy burrow upgrade coming up in just a little bit. I guess it's due to the fact that Dark has got himself a transitional moment right now where he's getting the lurkers out, right? But just like 10 Zerglings could have just prevented this from morphing into a planetary. It's just not happening, I guess. Maybe he's finally going to be sending units over. In the meantime, by the way, we do have a fusion core coming up here as well for ByuN. Probably primarily for the ranged upgrade on the Liberators. Very nice units, obviously, to have. Liberators. Very good against Zerg late game. I would like to see either them or, for example... Oh, he's just going to walk up right now with Lurkers instead. Okay. You know what? He's got the Lurkers. He's got the upgrades just about to finish up. Ranged upgrade is not quite done yet, but Lurkers actually make short work of planetaries. Sorry. That was some very poor camera movement right there by me. I must have accidentally hit the spacebar or something. Regardless, the planetary gets blown to pieces. I'm just a one-man production team, man. What can I say? To be fair, I've seen production teams made out of 20+ people, and that does not necessarily make it better. Ooh, nice surround over here with the Zerglings, trying to go around the back of the... Ooh, well, you know what? I was thinking nice surround there by the Zerg, but this is kind of what ByuN does. The ByuN miracle. ByuN believable. There you go. Yeah, he always micros those units and somehow, some way, wiggles his way out of it. The problem is, though, he's broke, right? Like, he's not gonna be getting a lot of income anymore. And Zerg, even though they lose a base over here, there's still a full base up on the left-hand side of the map. Banelings at the same time. They'll also just simply get into the mineral line. Planetary Fortress will be wrecked there by those couple of lurkers. And even though this has been, I would say about 15 minutes in the making, Dark has been playing this very steadily and very slowly. He's done a good job here. Especially over, like, the last, I would say, 4 or so minutes, right? He didn't take any critical damage before that, even though it felt a little bit dangerous. Right now, he's looking real strong. That tech advantage of his is noticeable. Liberator production starts up pretty late. He does need to get the ranged upgrade, actually, for those Liberators as well. But Terran's getting into a position where they need to start making some moves here to be able to crawl himself back into this. Now, he already did that earlier. When he started up the 3rd command center when he had, like, no units. He had, like, 5 Marines somewhere out into the map. This time around, he's taking another gamble by floating on over his old main command center towards this location over here. Now, obviously, that means it's not a planetary, so falling back into that anchor is not really a possibility. It means that you have to have units stationed over here as well in order to actually deal with it. Now, already, I love this here by Dark. Dark sniffs it out. If he knows that most of the Terrans are going to be concentrated up north, right, over here on the right-hand side of the map, he can take the base in the south really, really nicely. This expansion is going to be harder to keep a hold of, or to keep alive, right, if the Terran is going to start, you know, mounting attacks from this location. But the base in the bottom left, very, very easily acquired. One thing that I missed while the Terran player is taking their base over here is that there's also a medevac drop over here on the left-hand side of the screen. This time around, they do have the speedy burrow upgrade. There's a whole lot of drones that get picked off. Now, once again, this base is so vulnerable. You can see ByuN is just completely leaving it alone right now, taking this path in the north, but that does mean that the Zerglings, they're just going to be able to kill whatever they like. Is he going to pull back? No. Instead, the hatchery will just be cancelled. There's a lurker over here as well, but that's a lot of SCVs that got blown up just now. Is he really going to be fighting this in this direction? Ugh. Fighting onto the creep. ByuN has done this before. I've seen him pull rabbits out of hats. This is a very nice amount of Terran supply, but it's not all of the supply. If you look at the line on the minimap right now, there's a big army moving towards the bottom left-hand corner of the map as well. ByuN does move up towards the high ground right now. Should be able to kill the base, but the problem is that he doesn't have any mining anymore himself, right? He's got very little income. He's got a pretty reasonably sized army, but he's got no way to replenish it. He's got a lot of gas in the bank, but no more mineral income, and there it is. GG is cold. Dark obtains the victory in a very well-fought game. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. Today, special shout out to the YouTube members. If you want to become a YouTube member yourself as well and support the channel directly, you can click the join button right below the video, right next to the subscribe button, or in the link in the description below if you're watching this on mobile. For now though, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I hope to see you once again in the next one.